everybody. Sandi Clarkson here with you today. Just doing a little talk tutorial about a couple of layouts that I made and that I failed to get processed videos on because of time and a few other things like that. But I did want to go over kind of the basic steps in case you want to recreate the page. So for this one, I followed our sketch sample for the month, which is a great one. It's a very foundational kind of sketch that you could use again and again. You know, having your circular piece on this side or over here, it really works really well. But I wanted to use this paper and then this black paper together. I had a different photo in mind at the time that I chose those, but I ended up going with a different paper for that one because I wanted to do this and I kind of wanted a natural background, kind of neutral. This typewriter paper is the back side of the cover for the collection, the Curiosities in Willow Grove. So that's on the back side if you want to look for that. And then I've used that black paper there with the florals on it. And then for this is just one of the plain script type papers. And so to cut my circle, I actually used a dinner plate and then hand trimmed it. I could have used my Cricut or a compass or a Creative Memories tool or anything like that, but it was just faster for me just to, you know, make a big circle and cut it out. And then I used some vintage photo on the edge of it, and I actually propped it up on some corrugated cardboard to lift it up because I knew I was going to want to tuck some elements underneath. So anyway, I used a couple of photos of the grandkids that I recently got. They went on a camping trip, and so that was from their adventures. And so I decided to include some mushrooms over here, and those are from the die cut ephemera pack. It's icons and titles. The dragonfly is from that, and this little thistle is from that, the little bunny rabbit. And so there's another picture of the back side of that package. And then, of course, that's what the title comes from. And I really meant to put my title a little bit lower and to the left, but I put it down and thinking I was going to have other elements right there. But anyway, I like how it turned out. I do love these little mushrooms, the purple ones and the green ones. And then I have a tag here. The tag was from the sheet of tags, and I kind of use that purplish design. And then for the horizontal element, I used the lace, and the lace comes in one of the laser packs. And I have really used my laser packs this month, but it came in the one with the that says laser cut elements, and it's, you know, this piece right here. And then the camera as well is from that, you know, same pack. And then we've got the flowers, the little, you know, beetles, a lot of the greenery that's all from the laser cuts, and that most of those are going to be from this laser cut foliage. Lots of little greenery pieces here for you to use, feathers, titles, and that kind of thing. So for dimensional flowers, I've used these two that were in the package that had white flowers, and then it had a couple of print ones. And so this is one of the print ones, and that's one of the white ones. Then this is one of the Prima marketing florals. And then here and here, I've tucked in the little small florals with the gold stamens, and then a green one right there, just to kind of complete the page. And then, you know, came back and, you know, pulled some of that greenery out from this and tucked greenery in here. And then these little strips, My Time in Nature and Nature Walk, those were also from the laser cuts. So anyway, I just put this here. It's about a 5x8 piece. And then, you know, I made the circle. It's probably about 8 inches or less. It was the size of my salad plates. So then I finished off with some paint splattering, and I've used this Dina Wakley gloss spray in white, and it leaves a little bit of a sheen. So if you don't want that, then you need to probably go with just plain white acrylic ink that you can water down. But anyway, you've probably seen my close-ups already, but you know, this is my finished page. Also, while I'm here, I want to go ahead and talk to you about this layout that I'll be sharing on social media later this month. But here's where I got a chance to use the stencil that's in our kit this month. And you've really got to give it a try because, you know, looking at it, you may think it's more tropical or whatever, but depending on the colors that you use, you're going to get, you know, a different effect. And so I pulled out the 49 Market new dye inks, and I used the daffodil first, and I just, you know, put that kind of as a base layer and did my design all down here and kind of brought it over this way a little bit. And then I put a little bit on the edge here. And then I came back, and in the center, I used the Just Peachy and used another one of my brushes and just kind of put the inner part along the vein of the leaves and kind of added in some orange so it looks more like the leaves are turning colors. So that's how I made that background, and I was real happy with that. And I knew I wanted to do a leaf page. I didn't know if I would have enough of the right products yet because I had a lot of pink left, and I knew I didn't want the pink. But I did bring in some purple here in this leaf and here and in that tag right there. But this little tree or branch or whatever is from this laser cut foliage pack. And I'm using it essentially as a tree here because I was in Colorado visiting my brother, and the aspen, about 10% of the aspens had not dropped yet, but 90% of them had dropped. But there was still lots of fall color. And so we got out in the convertible one day and went driving around to a couple of different places. But so I wanted to scrap that photo just to remember the trip. And then I was able to, you know, make some fluttering leaves go down the page with pieces that were from the die laser cuts. And then this I fussy cut from, you know, this one, I think, right here. I think it was right down here. And put that there. And then the compass and the binoculars were from the laser cut elements here. And then, you know, the acorns and the florals, these were all from laser cuts. This was the die cut ephemera. These were from the die cut ephemera. And the big title there was, I believe, from this Icon and Titles ephemera set. So I decided to put a key up here. There's one key in the laser cuts, and my maiden name is Key, so my brother's name is Key, so I thought I'd put that there and make my title be Key Observations from This Day. And so I thought that would be cute to remember. So anyway, like I said, I've used laser cuts, die cut ephemera, mushrooms. I've used a mix of yellow and orange. And then I've added in some of the white florals. Of course, you could colorize those if you want to with any of your sprays or inks. And then these little pieces right here were also from the laser cuts. And then I've used foam squares underneath the butterflies, or quote moss. And then I used one underneath that acorn and included a couple of acorns there. And then just a mix of, you know, fall foliage over here on the right of my picture. And then the little baker's twine, I fussy cut that off of one of the little pieces like this, and took it and adhered it to that tag right there, just because. And then I added just a few stars because I hadn't used any stars, and there were a bunch of stars included in the kit. And then for a finishing touch, I did come back with a stamp for my stash by Gabrielle Polacco, back when she was designing for what was Scrapbook Diaries at the time, which has become 49 in Market. And then my paint splatters are shimmers, Night Moves colorings. And I just splattered that around there and there and there over on the edge. And so I think that is most of the information. You can leave me a question down below in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. I sure hope you got this kit. It's a beautiful one. If you haven't, then I'll have details in the description box about how you can go there and order a kit of your own or become one of our Kit Club subscribers so you don't miss anything and so you have full access to all the cut files that are on our website. So thanks for coming by. I hope this helps, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.